My name is Dave Nielsen. I'm the CEO for the Home Builders Association of Metro Portland, and it is my privilege to be able to welcome you here this morning. You know, we've got a unique event this morning, especially for our organization, in a couple of ways. One is we have been working along with other business, housing, and economic development advocates in the region for a long time. The West Side Economic Alliance and the Clackamas County Business Alliance have been great partners with us and several other organizations in trying to work together and collaborate in terms of what makes the best sense in terms of policy and our position on issues throughout the region on a variety of things. And not being limited by whatever the scope of our organization might be, us being more housing, other organizations maybe being more commercial or more industrial or whatever it is, but saying collectively we need it all to come together in order for our region to work, and how do we best do that. And you know, a month or two ago, we were talking with several of the other organizations and said, you know, what are we going to do in Clackamas County? And not all of them obviously endorse in the race. Our association typically does get involved and makes endorsements. Organizations like WEA and CCBA do not. But we all wanted to have a role in this. And we said we honestly don't know where we're going to stand in this race. We really need to understand more about each of these two candidates. We've got what I consider to be a very unique race for Clackamas County Chair. And so the idea of doing a forum and saying, let's bring everyone together. If we're in that quandary, there's probably lots of others within our organizations that are also in that same situation. And so none of our organizations have made endorsements in this race. Again, the other two will not. HBA will be interviewing the candidates with our political action committee in the next couple of weeks and determining whether we are going to make an endorsement in the race. But this is really an opportunity for us all to get to know both of these candidates a little bit better and to understand their position on some key issues. We've got major things going on in Clackamas County, and they obviously have a major impact on our region, from urban renewal to light rail to what's going to happen with jobs and industrial lands and housing and its role in the region and working with Metro. So I'm really looking forward to this forum. I know many of you are as well too, so I wanted to thank you for being here. I also want to thank the Clackamas County Business Alliance and Kim Parker. Kim, where are you? For your organization's support and role, and many of your members that are here. And also want to thank Jonathan Schlueter in the West Side Economic Alliance. I guess we only get to announce him being a part of that organization for another month or so. I think many of you know that Jonathan was recently selected to be the new government affairs manager for Washington County. So I'd like to congratulate him on that job opportunity. We're going to miss him, and since I know there's many WEA board members in here, I can only say that I hope you find someone who has done as outstanding a job as Jonathan has, having been through an organization that has been hit hard by this depression, and I know that Jonathan and WEA were as well too, and to bring them back and to get them back to a point of prosperity and to leave them in such great position is a credit to you and to your board and organization, so you've done a great job. I also want to acknowledge, although I don't typically acknowledge staff, but Dennis Mulvihill, who served Washington County in that position for 24 years and is still doing some part-time work for them, but did a great job at Washington County for 24 years. So I want to acknowledge you, Dennis, as well. And now, as is tradition at many of these functions, and WA certainly does a fine job of that as well as CCBA, we want to introduce and acknowledge, and please hold your applause at the end, the elected officials that we have here. And we do have many as Clackamas County. Its role in the region in working with Washington County, Multnomah County, and Metro is very critical. I want to thank all of you for coming. So we have David Blair from Senator Wyden's office. If you just raise your hand again, we'll hold applause at the end. Thank you, David. We have State Rep Julie Parrish. We've got, at the Metro level, we've got Metro Councilor Shirley Craddock and Metro Councilor-elect Sam Chase and Metro Councilor-elect and Tigard Mayor Craig Dirksen. We have Clackamas County Commissioners Paul Savas, Jim Bernard, and Ann Leininger. Thank you all. Washington County Commissioner Dick Scouten. Thank you, Dick. City of Happy Valley, we have Councilor Mark Lee Drake. City of Lake Oswego, Councilor Bill Tierney. City of Sherwood, Mayor Keith Mays. City of Tigard, Councilor Gretchen Beener. City of Wilsonville, we have Mayor Tim Knapp and Councilor Richard Goddard. City of Canby, we have Mayor Randy Carson. And we have City of Beaverton, Councilor Betty Bodie. And I understand, and thank you, Councilor. I forgot Metro Councilor Carlotta Collette is also here as well, too. Thank you, Carlotta, for being here. So a warm welcome for all of our elected officials that are here and serve our region so well. And now it is my privilege to introduce someone who's got more formers next to his name than anything else. Former state legislator, former City of Tigard mayor, former Washington County chair, but still very involved and very active in our region, and someone who's been a longtime friend of both the Home Builders Association and business and housing in general. And we certainly appreciate the leadership role he continues to play, and are very happy that he agreed to serve as moderator and host for this forum. I'd like to welcome Tom Bryan.
Well, good morning, everyone. Nice turnout, and it's always good to see all of the elected officials out. I always used to wonder if they were here on offense or defense, and now I don't care. You know, I'm just glad you're here. Debates are always more interesting and more revealing when the candidates have distinctly different views, approaches, and ideas. While the candidates for Clackamas County Chair may indeed have these differences, let's remember they both have demonstrated a long commitment to the community. They both have served in elected public office, and they both have aspirations to do great things for Clackamas County. So let's explore their views and approaches and ideas this morning. Each candidate was invited to bring one piece of literature for your table. So this morning, my introductions will be very brief. Charlotte Lehan will begin with 3 minutes of opening comments, and then John Ludlow will have 3 minutes. And then we're going to flip a coin, since this is the first time I've seen them right here together. We'll flip a coin who begins answering the questions. The format is that each candidate will ask questions alternately. Each candidate has 2 minutes to respond, and then the person who went first has 1 minute to, up to 1 minute if they wish, to either follow up or rebut or whatever. So we'll go along through there. At some point in the process, we're going to allow each candidate to ask one question of their opponent. We've got a couple questions that were more custom designed to each candidate, that we touch on a unique angle or an issue. And then in the end, there'll be 3 minutes for each candidate to close. We have a timekeeper here. If you'd maybe both candidates make sure you see this lady, it's very important. She'll have a 30-second sign to tell you that your time is short, and then the red sign that says stop. And stop means stop. Like mid-sentence if necessary. So and that's all because we want to ask as many questions as we can. I really congratulate the sponsors for how they've collected the questions. They've really asked their members and so forth, and there was a lot of questions, and we've sort of sorted through those, and we'll just sort of play it by ear. And finally, I reserve the right to restate a question if I feel a candidate has not made a sufficiently direct response. So with that, let me begin by a very brief introduction of Charlotte. Both candidates, we could spend a lot of time on the introduction, and like I say, they've each been invited to bring material. Charlotte, her family has called Clackamas County home since the late 1800s or mid-1800s. Her elected service began six years as a city councilor in the city of Wilsonville, then 12 years as mayor. She ran and was elected in 2008 to the Clackamas County Board of Commissioners, and then in March of 2011 was appointed as chair. And of course, she has served on a lot of local and regional committees along the way. So with that, we welcome Charlotte Lehan.
Well, thank you for having me here today. This is the first debate I've been involved in, and I have to say I did not take debate in high school, so there it is. My name is Charlotte Lehan. I am currently the chair of the Clackamas County Commission, and I previously served as commissioner in position number 4, and following Lynn Peterson's departure to the governor's office, I was elected unanimously by my colleagues to take her position as chair. Before joining Clackamas County, I served as mayor of Wilsonville and oversaw a period of great economic expansion, home building, and job growth. In fact, in the 12 years that I was mayor, we tripled the number of jobs, and when I left, the city had more jobs than residents. I certainly can't claim all the credit for that because it is many of the people in this room who are the real job creators. But I did help create a climate in Wilsonville that was both attractive to development and at the same time attractive to current residents, so that anti-growth initiatives, which for much of that time were taking hold in our neighboring cities, never occurred in Wilsonville. When I was mayor, we built roads, sewers, bridges, stormwater facilities, and schools at an unprecedented pace for our city. We planned and constructed a plant that will continue to provide clean water to generations of residents in Wilsonville and eventually far beyond. We paid attention to the details like parks, streetscapes, and undergrounding of utilities. And as a result of those forward-looking, innovative strategies, the city of Wilsonville was last into the recession and among the first to emerge from it. I'm bringing that same approach to the leadership of Clackamas County in my first full year on the job. We're looking at where we are today and envisioning where we want to be in the years to come. We're working with our businesses to increase exports, expanding our broadband infrastructure, making our land use and building codes more user-friendly. And this winter, we will finally break ground to begin the long-awaited Sunrise Corridor system. We're moving forward, planning for a prosperous future, and working to position ourselves as leaders within the region and throughout the Northwest. And I'm proud to share some of our accomplishments with you here today. Thank you very much.
John Ludlow has a diverse background in the private sector. He has been has been a commercial carpenter, real estate broker, but he's also served as a planning commissioner, chamber president, city councilor, and mayor of Wilsonville, and has volunteered, again, in the community a great deal. I found it interesting going through his list of things that he was awarded Wilsonville's Heart of the City Award in 2001, presented to him by Mayor Charlotte Lehan. just shows you how things can change over time, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, we welcome John Ludlow to this forum. John?
Well, I sure appreciate all you folks showing up. It's very impressive. I think one of the things that most people wonder is, who the heck is John Ludlow? So let me just kind of fill you in as to who I am. I grew up in Portland metropolitan area, mainly in Clackamas County all my life. Certainly got involved in government quite early. At 23 years old, was elected to the Clackamas County, Clackamas Community College Board of Directors. But I want to address today, some of the comments made by Commissioner Bernard, that I was a disgruntled citizen, that I was a government hater, that I was a kook. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about who I am and where my heart is at. I started an organization in the 80s called Safety, Stop Any Future Escapees This Year. I did it to fight Governor Atia's plan to put a prison in Wilsonville. How ironic that it would come back up in 1995. I fought that. I was a chairman of that organization, and then ironically, not so ironically, I got appointed by the governor to the Site 1 Prison Advisory Committee, where we linked 750 people, arm in arm, from a grade school, from a middle school actually, to where the prison site would be. It was helicopters flying around and quite the media episode. And then how ironic again that one of my friends out here bought a Santa Claus visit from me to the prison after it was built. So I went there and frankly I cried behind my beard at these poor children who'd lost their mothers. Now when dads go to prison, moms, they take care of the kids. When mothers go to prison, less than 30% of the time does the father have the children. They're lost children, the high-risk children. And if we don't stop it, they will be in prison just like their mommies were. So I started an organization called Through a Child's Eyes 10 years ago, and it's been a rounding success in the state of Oregon. The DOC has recognized it. It's internationally recognized. What we do is we just go in and show unconditional love to these kids. That's all. We love on them, and we love on their inmate mothers, and we don't ask them what they did because we think they're redeemable. I was awarded twice the Volunteer of the Year at Coffee Creek Correctional Facility, and this year, statewide award winner for my volunteer service. That's who I am. I'm a lover of people, I'm a communicator, and I'm a leader. Now, as to the great question of all the things we're going to talk about today, there's a preamble to the Code of Ethics of the National Association of Realtors. It starts with, under all is the land. Now, if you think about that, that's what brought everybody to Oregon. The Great Western Rush is land, and now we don't have any more of it. Why? It's because regional planners know better than you do. You just don't understand the big picture. I ask you, I don't know how many people in this room were raised in apartments or high-rise condos. Not many, huh? Well, that's our future, folks. See, we want our children, we want our grandchildren to be raised in a large lot situation, a stable neighborhood. Cul-de-sacs are no more. Why? Instead, we're looking at, in sensitive areas, 15 to 20 dwelling units per acre mandated by Metro. What does that look like to you? It looks like failure to me. We need more land. We need a land rush out there in order to get the things done we have to get. And the only way to do that is to have Metro and the legislature modify their plans and give us some flexibility for business purposes, let alone for residential purposes. I don't want to have to look back and say, these children did well with their postage stamp lawn and they're on the third floor in a cube, but by golly, that's the way to live. As it is, we shove all of our poor people into Section 8 housing and say, well, this is diversity, isn't it? It's wrong. People should live where they want to be able to live. When I grew up, we had poor people living in the neighborhood. In fact, we were probably poor people ourselves, but the churches and the neighbors took care of these people. More and more, it's all about government, because government has the answer. I say they don't. They say that you just don't understand. And instead of, like, remember Lyndon Johnson said, the silent majority, what we have now is we are the marginalized majority. We're out there, and Clackamas County has proven, the commissioners, they don't care what people say. Whether it was the bridge vote, the urban renewal vote, and now the rail vote, they just don't comment. You can bring hundreds of people in and testify, and I know these business entities here have done the very same thing in their lobbying efforts. Does it make any difference? No, because it's a plan, and you're not part of it. I think we're going to be talking about the other issues here soon. Thank you very much.
Any volunteers for choosing the flip of the coin? The lady. The lady. Charlotte, call it, please. It is heads. So you get to go first. I didn't say, I didn't say whether it was a good or a bad thing. From here forward, I will stay here and we'll ask the candidates to answer the questions from their seats. First question for both candidates. Both of you bring out strong emotions in sectors of the electorate. As county chair, you will have to work with people who are fundamentally in disagreement with you. Can you provide examples of situations from your past where you've had to work with people adamantly opposed to your point of view, how you handled the situation, and what you learned from it? Charlotte.
Yes, well, many times as mayor and also as commissioner, land use is one of those that always brings out strong feelings. I know many times as a mayor sitting on the dais, we're making a decision on a land use item where half the room is for it and half the room is against it. Certainly that was true with the Family Fun Center. The residents hated the notion of it. The people who had kids in baseball loved the idea of it. So you have people who feel very strongly about it on both sides, and it is it's something where you try to do your best to take into consideration the needs of both sides and what is at the core of what they want and need, and see if what accommodations can be made. And it isn't always a matter of which has the biggest group showing up, because there were a number of times when I went to bat for developers with the development of meadows, with the development I forgot another one. Anyway, of a couple of them where they clearly had the right to go forward, and prior approvals, but the community was opposed. And in those cases, you have to help the community to understand that this is a commitment that has already been made, and these developments have to move forward. So it isn't, and in those cases, there may be a lot of people there to say you shouldn't allow this development to go forward, and only a few there in favor of the development, but you have to follow the law and do what's fair.
John, would you like me to repeat the question, or are you?
No, I'm fine.
All right, thank you.
In my various leadership roles, mainly volunteerism, I haven't thrust myself in there and said, I'm a leader, pay attention to me. I've been asked to. You mean I wasn't loud enough? I don't know what to do with this. Can you hear me? No. My voice has usually been low. Oh, my gosh. I think it's got it now, actually. Probably too much. All right. Again, I've never been assertive about whether I should be leading or not. People have asked me to do that. They think I do a good job leading. And let me give you a couple examples. The Wilsonville Chamber of Commerce was approached by the city of Wilsonville and told what a new rule would be, that certainly they want to regulate all signs. That was a given. But signs outside, inside, and they said that from now on, anything inside the front window of a store that's visible within 10 feet, whether it be light, sign, figure, anything, is regulatable, and you must receive permission to display inside of your business. The Chamber of Commerce thought that was a little onerous. So we remonstrated quite heavily, and we've eventually worked it out with the city by basically telling them, we're not going to stand for this. I find it interesting that my opponent says the community was opposed to something when really votes are not part of her way of operating. I know this. I was in Wilsonville for a long time, and again, look at what I call the big three. The bridge. 100 people show up, maybe 2 saying, gosh, we really needed to do it, and yet somehow it was determined that the community wanted this? No, it turned out wrong. Urban renewal, same thing, and now light rail. The best way to poll people is with a public vote. We just don't see enough of that. I can work with anybody about anything, no matter how contentious, but there has to be a little give and take, and I'm willing to give it with a great explanation and a good sales job. Thank you.
Thank you. As you both know, the regional...
She gets a 1-minute rebuttal.
Oh, that's right. Thank you, John. Charlotte, 1 minute as you wish.
That's okay.
Okay, she passes on that. Thank you. As you both know, there will be substantial residential growth over the next 20 and 30 years. And where do you foresee this residential growth occurring in Clackamas County in the future? What should this growth look like? And how will the county pay for needed infrastructure to serve these areas? And John starts first.
Well, there's the conundrum, isn't it? We used to have a saying in real estate, I'm a real estate broker, is he who benefits pays. That's going to be really tough for a lot of developers right now. Urban renewal probably is dead, you guys, unless you can put together a great plan and a really good explanation to the public on how it will not be misused as it has in the city of Wilsonville, where our debt load is $100 million for that little city. Great success over there, but very expensive for the debt load for our grandchildren. You know, Charlotte had mentioned the law. The law is mandated by Metro as to density and what will be there, and there was never a vote on that. Now, when we were dealing with, as many of you know, marginal lands to build on, because that's what you've got now, the dregs, the residential, commercial, industrial areas that are sloped or need water mitigation, or you know, are hard to get to, need roads and services. I'm sure the legislature is going to have to approach a new way of financing. I think Julie Parrish had an interesting idea last legislature, where she said, you know, if an area or a municipality was able to bring in a new business, now we're talking about a new business or somebody relocating from out of state, not somebody we stole from another city, that perhaps a sharing should be done. About 50% of the income tax for that business should be shared with the municipality for a period of years. That could offset some pretty heavy infrastructure costs. So that is one way. I don't pretend to have the answer. I think urban renewal was misused, or it wouldn't have been slapped down. So I'm open to suggestions about how to finance important infrastructure and really get shovel-ready lands. Thank you.
Thank you. John, let me follow up a little bit. Where do you have a specific place or priority in Clackamas County as to where this residential growth would be located, and what should it look like?
Well, as you know, there's a bone of contention as to residential growth, and let's pick Damascus. Again, what should it look like? I don't like 15 to 20 units per acre. I don't like 12 units per acre, folks, mandated by somebody above you. So what I'd like to do, I'd like to return to lots that people want to live on. Where would it occur? It can still occur in places like Damascus, Canby, and frankly, south of the Precious River. I mean, French Prairie is 133,000 acres. If we took in several hundred acres, it could make a marked difference for jobs and for residences, but especially industrial. So that's kind of my areas. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Same question to Charlotte. Would you like me to repeat it, Charlotte?
Okay.
Where do you foresee residential growth occurring in Clackamas County in the future? What should this growth look like, and how will the county pay for needed infrastructure to serve those areas?
Well, I think there are still a lot of opportunities inside the urban growth boundary, lands that have come in the last couple of cycles that still are undeveloped. Certainly in Wilsonville, the Frog Pond area is one, and if we're looking to the future in terms of additional lands in the urban growth boundary, then I think there are some excellent opportunities in Clackamas County. One of them is the Advance Road area in Wilsonville. That one made a run at coming in the last cycle, but I'm quite certain will come in the 14-16 cycle if the region has a need for more residential land. The other area that is really the crown jewel in the region is Borland Stafford. And parts of that, as we know, are very controversial, and parts are sensitive and will probably never develop. But it's a significant amount of land that is currently in the urban reserve, and we're doing everything we can to support our cities in terms of getting that ready for the 14-16 UGB cycle and working with our partners there. And actually, it looks more promising than I have ever seen it. We've held public forums over the last year to discuss the issues, make sure that everybody is heard. And I did want to say, in terms of the 12 units to the acre, this is an average number for lands that come in. And it doesn't mean that everything has to be that. It means that if you have a senior assisted living unit, for instance, you might have 40 units to the acre in that one facility, which brings the average up, and other areas can be lower. So there's a lot of flexibility at the local level.
John, would you like to take your minute?
I want to talk about the Stafford area, the Hamlet area, specifically what Ms. Lehan just mentioned. You know, For years now, they've been going through paralysis by analysis. And what's really stopped that area? Well, Metro says, well, you're not bringing in that freeway-ready area. No, not alone. Not without you bringing in the Rosemont area. Well, the Lake Oswego people have something to say about that. And why shouldn't they? We're talking about, again, averages. No, I've heard minimums are necessary from Metro in order for you to develop the Rosemont Ridge. What a beautiful sight from I-205 to see row houses up there, to see them 3 and 4 stories high. That's not what we want. That's not what Lake Oswego wants. Yet they tie the two together and say this freeway exit, no, cannot be developed without that ridge being developed. There's cities fighting cities, cities suing others over this thing. It'll just sit there for a long, long time until the public is fed up or until Metro moves from their mandates. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, I did have a question about the Stafford area, so I'll ask it now. As we know, will you propose this area, if you're county chair, will you propose this area for the next UGB expansion cycle? And given that the 3 neighboring cities have at least publicly not shown a great deal of interest in annexing into the area, how should the county proceed? How do you prepare the community plan that would be necessary for UGB expansion? And this would go to Charlotte.
We've been working on the Stafford plan, as I said, for the last year, meeting with the cities, meeting with the members of the hamlet and the development community to try to find as much common ground as we could and reduce the anxiety level all around. And Metro has been a player in this as well, also the fire district. We are working with the city of Lake Oswego in particular has agreed to commit to a planning process, and we would hope that we would move forward with an application for some of the CET funds to assist with the planning effort this fall or next winter, and with that be in a good position to have the work done that will be necessary as we go into the 14 cycle. So that is our goal. That's I keep people trying to focus on the prize. That's where we're headed, is to that 14-16 cycle, and to be successful, hopefully bring all 3 of our cities on board eventually. We understand that Tualatin and West Lynn are a little bit boxed in right now, waiting for the DLCD decision. We just sent a letter to DLCD encouraging them to get the final order out so that those appeals could move forward and be dispensed with, and then we could move forward with the planning process and have all 3 cities on board to help with that.
Thank you. John, maybe I should repeat the question, so
Go ahead.
I sort of made it up as I went.
You're great.
See if I can do it twice in a row. Will you propose the Stafford area for the next UGB expansion cycle? And given that the neighboring cities have been, to date, somewhat reluctant to look at annexing all or part of those areas, how should the county proceed, and how do you prepare the community plan that would be essentially required for expansion?
Well, I agree that I do say yes. The answer is yes, I would propose that area for inclusion under certain circumstances and conditions. Again, I'm tired of being thumped over the head and told I should feel guilty for driving my single-occupied vehicle, that the freeways are no more, or like my opponent said, freeways have gone the way of the horse and buggy. So we need transportation. We need easy access to residential and commercial areas, and Stafford is a great one. But don't think for a minute that you're going to bring in the lower basin area down at Borland Road without bringing in Rosemont. It's just not going to happen. They're going to tie together, and I don't know about sitting around and holding hands and singing Kumbaya here, but every city does not want every one of them doesn't want this to happen. And so the question is, who's going to do it? I hope to God Clackamas County decides they don't want to, because it really needs existing infrastructure. It'll cost a lot less than establishing a sewage treatment plant there at the Tualatin River, right near the crossing. So it's about money, it's about infrastructure, it's about the question you asked before, Tom, about where you're going to get the money to do this. But I think it will come if it was ever to be brought in. But we need the cooperation of the cities. I don't know how we get that. Not with the mandates that have been put on them as far as residential growth. That's what's stopping it. We know that this could mean jobs. We know that it could mean commerce, industrial area. This could be a greatly planned, wonderful, successful story for Clackamas County. But when you drag in Rosemont, it's very controversial, and those people have a way of life, and they want to keep it. I don't blame them. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlotte, would you like your minute?
Well, I don't envision that, and I don't think any of the people that have been working on this envision all of Stafford and Borland. That's over 4,000 acres coming in in the 14-16 cycle. That's unrealistic, and I think all of you know that we would never meet the needs test for anything close to that. What we're gearing up for is the logical parts that could come in, and that could include portions of near Tualatin, near West Lynn, and near Lake Oswego, as well as the Borland area. I'm not sure which ones are most appropriate to move forward first, but that's part of what the planning process would be about. The whole thing is not going to come in at one time.
Thank you. Each day, 60% of Clackamas County's workforce leaves the county to go to work. Do you believe Clackamas County has a shortage of jobs? Well, let me answer that one for you. But what can be done about it? And related to this, do you believe there's a shortage of larger lot industrial land for development? And what would you do about that? And see, John has this.
If I got the question right, well, 60% of the people travel outside of their home or their hometown to go to work. Try Wilsonville on for size. Over 90% of the people in Wilsonville don't work in Wilsonville. Why is that a crime, for goodness sakes? So, you know, they say that young people will change their occupations 7 times during their lifetime, let alone locations, right? So what are you supposed to do? Uproot your family every time you change a job? Let's say you live in Clackamas County, you have a job in Hillsborough at Intel. Well, should you uproot your family from their comfort in Clackamas County and just so you can get close to your work? The Metro envisions these little complexes, these villages, where not only will you live, but you've got to work there too, because that's a responsible thing to do. I see no problem with driving and commuting. What is wrong with that? And if you drive and commute, you're supposed to take rail, right? That'll help. You know, when Eisenhower proposed putting the interstate system through, what did he do that for? He did it for 2 reasons. One, he did it, number one, for safety. You can move troops on interstate freeways, but he also did it for commerce. Made a big difference. What did it save? Just like Henry Ford, it saved time. We got time from our investment of doing things faster. Now we're asked to go with light rail and give back some of that time you've gained. You got to go to the drugstore afterwards, whatever. No, you don't get to do that. You got to take rail to do that. So, you know, there's the whole idea of having to drive to work is not illegal. It's not immoral. And even if you're in a single occupied vehicle, so what? Stop apologizing for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlotte, let me repeat the question.
Yeah, it was a little bit.
60% of Clackamas County's workforce leaves the county each day to go to work. Do you believe Clackamas County has a shortage of jobs? What can be done about that? And particularly, do you believe that there's a shortage of larger lot industrial land for development? And if so, how would you address that?
Those are like 2 completely different questions. You're right. Yes, we do have a lot of, it isn't so much that where people are moving from and to. We have a distribution problem in Clackamas County. Certainly Wilsonville has a jobs housing imbalance the other direction. We have a huge inbound commute for people to work, and the east side has a huge outbound. So yes, we do need to think about that because it does impact our transportation system. And And we don't want to be moving our workforce back and forth across the region constantly, morning and night, because we simply don't have the capacity for it. And coming from a freight town, I can tell you that my priority for the freeways it always has been freight. Those big rigs, the 18-wheelers, can only move on the freeways. And everything that we can do to relieve the congestion, the commuter congestion, provides more capacity for freight movement. And freight movement is a critical part of jobs in Clackamas County. It's what we do on the east side of Clackamas County is a lot of export of metals manufacturers and heavy equipment, and these things do not move in the back of a small van. They move on the big rigs, and we need to be able to move them on these arterials. I think there are opportunities both inside and outside the UGB for industrial expansion lands, and we are just by the end of this month, we will have a full inventory of our industrial lands and be able to say what it takes to get each one ready for market.
Thank you. John, did you have a one minute?
1 minute is so short for me. Look, is it not abundantly apparent you don't need to do an inventory to tell that you're short on industrial lands? I was lucky enough to wield the golden shovel with Tom Berger when we broke ground on Mentor Graphics, 40 acres, shovel ready. Tell me where that's at now, will you? Because it's not here. Coalition for a Prosperous Region said, for all the natural attributes and benefits of sound planning, the Portland metropolitan region is a significant underperformer when compared to other similar-sized cities like Seattle, Denver, Minneapolis, Austin, when they measured such things as income, family income, proportion of college graduates, food insecurity, and diversity of employment base. Ms. Lehan would have you abandon the freeways and take multimodal transportation so we could put trucks in your place. That doesn't make any sense, folks. I mean, we've been told no new freeways. They robbed Mount Hood Freeway away from us and put in light rail. This is the pattern. We need to build some more freeways.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have two individual questions that have been formulated. The first goes to Charlotte. Charlotte, as chair of Metro's Policy Advisory Group, last year you voted in favor of a recommendation by Portland Mayor Sam Adams that all new UGB expansion areas be developed at 20 units to the acre. Based on this vote, do you believe that if Stafford, Wilsonville, or other potential urban reserve areas in Clackamas County are developed, that they should also be developed at 20 units per acre?
Well, as you might recall, that was an aspirational goal that he had proposed, and that was the way that MPAC received the recommendation as something to aspire to. And again, it was only as an average. It doesn't take very many higher density developments along major corridors. And I mean, in Wilsonville, for instance, we have 7 senior assisted living units that have very high densities if you're looking at it on a per acre basis, and they bring your averages for the rest of the neighborhoods way up, so that you can have areas that are 4 or 5 units to the acre, as well as very nice developments that are 40 or 50 units to the acre. And it was more of an aspiration to look for opportunities to work those things into a diverse sort of community.
Thank you. John?
Aspirational sounds like something you want to happen. I'm pretty sure of that. And even an average of 20 units per acre means you got some 40s. Is that pretty to you? Again, you remember the under all is the land thing? Well, what's on top of the land? Is it to be protected from people like you because you don't know what you're doing? You're not good stewards of the land? Is that the idea here? These are mandates, folks. These aren't things we got to vote on as citizens. 20 units per acre? Are you serious? I mean, in Wilsonville, by the way, happy Wilsonville, we have 56% apartments. That's a winner. Do they pay their way? No, they don't. Where Wilsonville wins is we have a high industrial and commercial base. Those people pay a bunch of money to schools, and they don't have any students. That's the only reason that Wilsonville's bailed out. Is 20 units per acre as an average something that you all want? Would you like it to bring it to a vote in Clackamas County? Would you like to guess on whether that would win or not? It would not. That's not what the public wants. It's what Metro wants. It's what the Portland State planners want. It's what the state of Oregon through DLCD needs to do, is protect you from yourselves. Well, I think that's dead wrong. I think we need more land. I think it needs to be easier to develop. I think we need less onerous regulation. And I think we need to get out of the way of businesses and people who want to operate the business and build, and make it less encumbered to build and or develop in Clackamas County. There's only one reason that land's so expensive. I wrote an article about it. It's on my website, johnludlow.com. It's really the law of supply and demand. Metro says less land. In fact, they want the population to double as we bring in 10% more land than what we have now. That'll work great, huh? 20 average will soon become 40 average to accomplish that. So, again, if it's a public vote on this thing,
Thank you, John.
do you think it would win?
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Boy, you cut it off right
Oh, yeah.
on the top. I'm
Oh,
telling
yeah. It's been done to me so many times.
you. It's payback, huh?
I just have this payback, I guess. Charlotte, you have up to 1 minute to respond to John's comments, if you wish.
That's okay. I'll pass on.
Okay. Question for John. You were a leading opponent to the City of Wilsonville's attempt to create an urban renewal district to entice solar power to move into the city. You were also one of the leading proponents of last year's successful measure requiring a countywide vote anytime an urban renewal district is to be created. Without urban renewal as a tool, what do you believe the county can do to bring businesses into the county and keep them from going elsewhere? Do we need incentives? If not, how do these infrastructure get paid for?
It seems like the public is expected right now to be the biggest employer, the biggest builder, because they need help. Everybody needs help. I think you got to stop leaning on the public. Again, if you want to go to a vote, and even if you don't, it's probably going to go to a vote, at least in Clackamas County. We've proven that 3 times in a row now. So if the public got to vote, and really it is about priorities, and another article I wrote called Priorities. Okay, if you had to choose between public safety and building a new road, which one would you choose? The Clackamas County voters, in every poll, by the way, that's ever been done by Clackamas County, has said public safety is number 1, roads are number 2. That sounds good to businesses, doesn't it? Roads, public safety. But now they're having to whinny down, they're trying to cut all of the expenses in Clackamas County, and where do they cut? They cut and don't give enough towards battered women, abused children. They don't give enough to public safety. The sheriff says that. Does the sheriff not say that? He's at the same funding levels from the general fund as he was in 05 and 06. He's come out for the rail measure. So the point of the matter is if you want more finance, you're going to have to go to the legislature, because as Clackamas County Chair, I won't have any to hand out. They're struggling as it is. Their own projections say they're going to be down $4.2 million in 2015 from their existing level of income. They've had to cut almost every department. Where's the money come from? Talk to the legislature again. Because as far as I'm concerned in Clackamas County, I don't know where we're going to get it. And if you people are much brighter than I am, and I hope you are, tell me where we're going to get that money that'll be approved by the public. Thank you.
Charlotte?
Well, specifically about the solar power, which he was a little bit non-responsive to, but the solar power project I worked hard on. I know Jonathan Schlueter worked hard on. The Wilsonville Chamber, West Side Economic Alliance, and many people in this room worked hard to get that project in Wilsonville, and it had full support of the fire district and of the school district. It was designed to pay back in an extremely short time period, and its impact on the districts was nil, and that's why we had the support of those districts and the support of the building trades. This was part of moving things forward for Wilsonville and for Clackamas County, and it And I know John is proud of driving them out of town, but it's created a black eye certainly for Wilsonville, but also for Clackamas County in terms of other businesses wanting to put the kinds of investments that solar power did in time and money, and then be left standing at the altar waiting for a threatened public vote to see if the voters would approve the incentive plans for them. And it was just an unfortunate circumstance that didn't have to be. We could have had that business in Wilsonville instead of in Troutdale, or in Clackamas County instead of Multnomah County. And that's all I have to say about that.
I get my 1 minute,
John?
right, Tom?
Yes, 1 minute.
Okay, I'll go fast here. I'm happy to turn solar power away. That was $11 million, a public giveaway. Where'd that money come from? Schools, police, fire, library. Are you serious? Did the Clackamas County voters not recently vote on that and say how they felt about that they'd like to have a hard and fast vote? The city council tried to slip one in on us. They tried to pass this without an advisory vote. It'd be the first urban renewal district they'd ever done that for. We remonstrated, they ignored us. What's wrong with that picture? And by the way, that space that was such a failure, we didn't fill it. We did fill it. And we didn't pay a dime to do that. Pacific Northwest, or Pacific Natural Foods filled it, and we didn't pay them a dime. That's not a failure, that's a success. So this is crony capitalism. This is where they get to pick winners and losers. If they were able to make a one-building urban renewal district, they skip a couple because you're not important. They do the next one down the line. I'm tired of government picking winners and losers. I think we should do it on the open market. Win or lose without the public help. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next question goes to Charlotte. What is your opinion on how Clackamas County, the government, not the community, and its relationships are viewed in the region?
Clackamas County, not the...
So the government, not the community. We all love the community, and everybody loves the community.
Yeah, right.
Right. So what is your opinion on how Clackamas County, the government, is viewed in the region as to the relationships with all of the other cities and metro and citizen groups?
Well, I think Clackamas County is a partner in the region, tries to be a good partner in the region with not just regional governments, but with organizations like West Side Economic Alliance and CCBA and the home builders to try to work together as a region. And we are definitely there. We have a seat at the table, but we are also not afraid to speak up on behalf of Clackamas County and the unique needs of Clackamas County. So we are not an urban county like Multnomah, and we are quite different than Washington County in the diversity of what Clackamas County is. So we have to, at the same time, work with our partners and also help the region to recognize the unique aspects of Clackamas County.
So would you say, Charlotte, the opinion of Clackamas County government in the region is?
The opinion of Clackamas County in the region is a regional partner.
Okay, thank you. John, same question. What is your opinion on how Clackamas County government is viewed in the region among its partners?
Well, Metro thinks Clackamas County is a great partner. Unfortunately, its citizens do not. That's the fundamental problem, folks. I mean, again, the Big Brother thing, I don't know about this partnership thing. To coin a phrase from a learned philosopher named John Chandler, if you're not, well, I thought he was learned. If you're not at the table, you're probably on the menu. Now you're at the table, but you're just not a dinner guest, folks. I mean, if you really look at, again, the whole vision of the area, Clackamas County has adopted Metro's vision. This is not our vision anymore, and it transcends just what the county people want. It goes right to city. Has not Troutdale had problems? Gresham had problems with Metro. Has not Damascus, and now Boring? I mean, when will we be able to decide? You know, the word sovereignty is used more in a national sense or even country sense, but what about the sovereignty of Damascus? Do they have a right to say their direction, to say how many dwelling units per acre they want? I think they do. But they don't have a voice right now because the commissioner in Clackamas County, the majority, I should say.
So, John, so Clackamas County government is viewed in what way by the cities in the county and the region? You
Well, let's see, the
responded
view-
to Metro, but I was wondering about,
Well, I said Metro thinks they're just wonderful
what
people.
about cities and?
Well, again, let's go to Damascus, what they think. The leadership in each city may think the commissioners are doing well, but why is it the county voters in total think differently?
Okay,
So,
thank you. And Charlotte, you have 1 minute to respond if you wish.
Well, there's, it sounds like my opponent is thinking we should secede from the region or something, or not be a partner at the regional table. And I think it's important for us to not only be at the table, but to lead at the table, to be at the front of that table. And we have to do that because like it or not, Clackamas County is a part of the region. It's important to us. We have trading partners in Washington County, in Multnomah County, throughout the state and around the world. And our access to those trading partners, for us to be economically viable, means that we have to be an active player in the region and an active partner.
Okay. And John, you have a minute. If you have, was the minute?
yeah, that was a minute.
Well, obviously, it's time for someone else
But
to
I'll take
ask.
another one.
Yeah, it's time for someone else to ask the questions, and we did advise the candidates that sometime during this process, we would invite each candidate to ask one question of each other. Not the time for many speeches or opinion giving particularly, but asking a question. And so, see, Charlotte went first last time, so John.
You know, we talk about the average of dwelling units per acre and the mandate therein, but let's just take the average that comes from Ms. Lehan, 20 units per acre. Ms. Lehan was raised on acreage, currently lives on over an acre. Charlotte?
Got to get to a question, John.
Charlotte, why don't you live in 20 units per acre now to show people that they should and how they're going to live?
I certainly have at different times in my life lived in apartment dwelling. And I think that everyone goes through different phases in their life. There isn't a single housing thing that works for everyone or that works for anyone through their whole life. Different situations. Right now, we have only something like 20% of households have school-age children. Increasingly, we have older populations who don't want big acreage. Some people do, and that's why we need a diversity of choices. We need the options in the region so that as people move through their lifetime, they can be in the situation that suits them best at that point in their lives.
Okay, thank you. And you may ask a question. Well, actually, let's give a minute to respond to.
I don't want to rebut what she says about that. I just like to see some, well, how about this then? Talk the talk, walk the walk. Thank you.
Okay. And Charlotte, your question for John.
You have stated several times that you support dissolving Metro. Would you also favor getting rid of MPAC and JPAC? And if so, would you also favor eliminating the $130 million in funding for the Sunrise system that's currently dedicated through JPAC for that project? And how would you support getting funding for projects like that if we didn't have those key regional partnerships?
Well, first of all, if it's planned and it's going to happen, it's going to happen. There's nothing I can do about that, and that's fine. It's a great, giant improvement to Clackamas County. But whatever happened to the days when you got what you paid in? You know, Clackamas County has gasoline tax that they pay in. Why couldn't they just get their portion and do what they wish with it? Instead, we throw money at light rail, 12-foot bike paths with curbs. They're really great in February, by the way. I mean, it's a matter of priorities. And I would rather have more say locally than somebody, we've already got DLCD folks, and then we get Metro as an overlay. And their rules, not voted on by the people, become with the same force and effect of law. I'd like a little bit more say in that. I don't recall ever saying abolish. I think at the Chamber of Commerce I said, well, you can start by abolishing Metro, and there was laughter through the room. We need to modify it greatly to start. If that doesn't work, I think the legislature should cure the problem and give people more freedom and flexibility, especially in their land use. Private property rights are eroding every day, not just for landowners, homeowners, but just for even renters. You have no rights anymore. It's too much onerous regulation, and the way to change that is to change leadership. Thank you.
Without active participation on groups like JPAC, the Regional Transportation Forum at Metro.
Well, JPAC helps to recommend to the Metro Board as to where money goes. Why do I always feel like there's a sucking sound in Clackamas County as all the revenue goes downtown? First it was the Portland Zoo, now it's the regional zoo. First it was the Portland's transit system, then it's regional. They're just, again, sucking all of our money out of Clackamas County to throw it down boondoggle holes. So JPAC, I'm not so sure that they're really needed. Give the money to Clackamas County. I'm sure we can figure out how to use it. Thank you.
Support from our partners, from Washington County, from Multnomah County, from the Port of Portland, because we support their projects, they support our projects. We come together at the regional table and decide how best to get the federal funding that we need for the region. And if Clackamas County decided to go it alone, I think we're the ones who will be left standing behind the door.
Okay, thank you. Well, related to transportation funding, it's pretty clear that both federal and state sources that we've been able to use and compete for are diminishing and will likely diminish in the future. More and more effort is being made to generate maintenance and capacity building funds locally, a clear trend in that way. What are some of your ideas on how to fund road maintenance and building capacity? Do you support things like gas tax, vehicle registration increases, or how do we maintain our current investments? And I think, is it John this time, right? No, Charlotte.
Road maintenance, as opposed to the capital funds, but both of them it is a conundrum, and we need to figure out a way to pay for it. I'm a big fan of road utility fees. The county floated one that was unsuccessful some years back, 8 or 10 years ago, but the one in the city of Wilsonville has worked very well. Tualatin has one. A lot of cities in the region now have a road utility fee, and Wilsonville's has been so successful that after the first 5 years, our pavement condition was so good that we had to reduce we were taking in too much money. At $5 a household, we were taking in too much money and reduced it to $4. And to my knowledge, it has not increased since. So, and vehicle registration fees are another possibility. increase in the gas tax is something I think that no one thinks is popular with gas at the price that it is. But we have to find an ongoing way to pay for road maintenance, the same as we pay for sewer maintenance and water pipes and the other kinds of utilities that we get a bill for. And those are, we're never asking that question about the sewer system. Those are questions that, because those are paid for in your regular bill every month. But roads are another issue, and eventually we have to come to grips with a good maintenance system for them.
Thank you. John?
You ever notice how they used to always, municipalities used to take it to the voters and say, listen, you have your choice to vote for this or not. And what would come before you is a levy for what I call the Holy Trinity. That would be library, parks, and police. And what were people to do? They didn't have a choice as to what to turn up or turn down. They had only that choice. Now they don't do that anymore. They cure it with fees. And Charlotte just mentioned the way they operate fees in the city of Wilsonville. Those weren't voter approved. They're just fees. Look how many you pay in your bill every month. So the point of the matter is there's probably more than several ways to determine how to maintain and fix our roads. I like the menu approach with voters. Let's see what they want. It's kind of an unusual idea with Clackamas County Commissioners, but let's see what they want to decide on how to fix their roads. Again, if public safety is number one at Clackamas County, and number two is roads, then let's let the public determine how much and where they want to spend. Is that so foreign? I don't pretend to have an idea as to how all of this should be done, but I remind you again, it's about priorities. If we continue to diminish the core services to our most vulnerable citizens, then we're going to be taking that money and giving it to something else. I want people to fully understand where they're giving it, because Clackamas County is not in good financial shape, as they say themselves in their strategic plan. And without new fees, without new monies, they will continue to spiral. Thank you.
John, just again clarify, so do you believe that the current revenues are adequate, inadequate? Should revenues be increased locally in some way?
I believe that the voters should be brought forward a couple different options, and they should choose how they want to pay for it. I'm tired of being told by everybody else how it's going to be, and I think the Clackamas County voters are too. Thus, the Clackastani Rebellion. I mean, if they want more money, they got to prove it to us and show us a really good program on how that money would be used. We know that roads need some help, so give the opportunity to the voters. I'm sure they'll answer correctly. Thank you.
Okay. Charlotte? Response?
Well, one of the problems with road maintenance being put up to a regular question of, do you want to pay for road maintenance, is that if the answer is no, not, or I don't like that way, or maybe next year, ask me again. The roads deteriorate at a tremendous rate and exponentially increase in the cost to keep them maintained. That's what happened with Wilsonville. Once you get your pavement condition up, it's very cheap to keep it up, but you let it deteriorate to the pothole level, to the alligatoring level, and you are talking about not double or 5 times, but a 10 times coming in due bill. It is extremely expensive because you'll have to remove all that asphalt, rebuild the road from the rock up. It's not a fiscally responsible way to do business.
Okay. John, rebuttal?
Again.
Wait a minute, pardon me, she had that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. This is so confusing. Right. Next question then goes to John first. What would you say if we asked you to say something nice about your opponent or something that she does well?
Charlotte is a tireless servant. I remember mentioning to the Oregonian when they were doing an interview with her and talking about how much time she spent as mayor. That was a volunteer position. And I told them that when I was mayor, I used to spend 20 hours a week doing that, which was quite substantial. and I'm sure she spent a lot more. She does work very hard at whatever she does, and I compliment her for that and also her service to the public.
Thank you. Did you want to rebut that, Charlotte? Or?
I wish I could.
How about, we'll just ask you the same question. What would you say that's nice about your opponent or something he does well?
I think the most impressive thing that John has done in his public career is the work at the women's prison, and I have been impressed with that from the beginning, from when I apparently gave him an award for the very thing.
You blanked that out, right?
So, but I think he's done a great job with getting that program started and continuing to support it. So that is a legacy that he will have.
Okay, thank you. See, that was nice.
Wasn't that nice?
Great. All right, I think to stay somewhere close to on time, we're going to wrap up and ask each candidate to take up to 3 minutes for closing remarks. Charlotte opened, so actually I think it's fair that she close first. It gives you the hammer if you wish, right? I think that's a theory anyway. So Charlotte, if you would close, please.
Okay. Thank you again for having us here to address this group of business leaders who know the importance that innovation is to ongoing success. As I'm sure you've gathered from today, the choice in this election is clear. Will Clackamas County move forward and continue to assert itself as a regional leader, or will it retreat into some mythical past because we've decided that we're afraid of the neighbors? I am a 7th generation Clackamas County resident, the descendant of some of the first steamboat entrepreneurs on the Willamette and Columbia rivers, the descendant of Clackamas County farmers, the granddaughter of the guy who brought rural electrification to Wilsonville and Clackamas County. The Clackamas County I know isn't afraid of the neighbors. It isn't afraid of Portland, and it isn't afraid of Metro or anyone else in the region. We aren't afraid of the future, and we aren't afraid to lead. In fact, we might want to show Sam Adams a little bit of Clackamas County creep by continuing to boost our exports through the Port of Portland, where we are a major player, and through the Portland International Airport. And we just might do an end run around Portland by staking our claim as the center of the Northwest's growing film industry. My heritage as the daughter of pioneers is very important to me. I will always be a lover of Oregon history, but we've already lived the past. Now it's time to prepare for a future that has just as many uncertainties as what the pioneers faced, and we need to have at least as much confidence in the outcome. That's my legacy, and that is our legacy for Clackamas County. My name is Charlotte Lehan, and I would appreciate your vote for Clackamas County Chair.
Well, I assure you, I'm not afraid of anything. Dead serious. I'm not afraid of regionalism. I'm just tired of it. You know, this ancestor thing means a lot to me. The Crowells and the Ludlows both came over to this area, meaning this country, before it was a country, 1630 and 1645. You want to go backwards about my relatives? What does that matter? It matters who I am, not who they were. Clackamas County is the regional stepchild. And you know, it's time we got out from underneath the thumb and did something productive. And again, we can only do that with more land. It's so basic, it's so fundamental. It is the very heart and creed of real estate brokers like me. We need more land, and not the marginal land, and not to build the 3- and 4-story apartments that in your life you'll live in, but I just make a choice not to right now. This is bad stuff, you guys. Look around in the country and see where you find areas that have a 20-acre average unit occupation area. It's terrible. It's not where you want to live or raise your grandkids. I'm not necessarily a metro basher. I'm just saying I'd like a little bit more ownership. You know, this partnership and stakeholders thing. How did the construction excise tax go for you folks when you were at the table and you were dealing? For the builders in this room, how did that feel when you were betrayed and that money taken from you? This is what partners are. This is what regionalism is it's all for the greater good, don't you understand? As Carl Hostica said, to vote is undemocratic. That doesn't make any sense, folks. We're going to have to listen to the voters, and if we don't listen to the voters, they're going to do another initiative and another initiative and another initiative until we get it straight. We need to change the leadership in Clackamas County, specifically certain commissioners. And in November, remember, it's the status quo or Ludlow. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes the morning. I do want to again thank our candidates, John Ludlow and Charlotte Lehan. It's always not always fun to run for office, but it's always hard work. And then if you're successful, that's just the beginning. And again, it's not always fun, and it's always hard work. But we really thank both John and Charlotte for being here and for being willing to campaign and serve us here in the region. Again, thanks to Clackamas County Business Association, Westside Economic Alliance, and the Home Builders Association who have hosted us this morning. Thank you, and we are closed.